It was a hot afternoon. The sun was high in the sky, and people were walking fast on the busy street. Everyone was in a hurry. Some were going to work, some were shopping, and some were just passing time. Among them, a young woman walked slowly. Her clothes were old and simple. Her shoes were worn out. Her hair was tied in a loose ponytail. She didn't look rich. She didn't look important. No one noticed her. People walked past her like she was invisible. Her name was Ayla. Ayla stopped in front of a big, shiny bank. The building was tall and made of glass. It looked rich and modern. People in suits were walking in and out. The security guard looked serious. The floor inside was clean and shiny. Everything looked expensive. Ayla took a deep breath. She looked at her clothes. Then she looked at the bank again. For a moment, she thought about turning back. But she didn't. She stepped inside. As soon as she walked in, the people at the reception desk looked at her. They looked at her clothes. Then they looked at each other and smiled. A short man in a blue suit whispered something to the lady beside him. She giggled and looked away. Ayla didn't say anything. She just walked up to the desk. "I want to open a business account," she said softly. The receptionist raised her eyebrows. She looked at Ayla from head to toe. Then she forced a fake smile. "Please wait over there," she said. Ayla nodded and sat on the sofa. The sofa was soft and comfortable, but Ayla sat straight. Her hands were on her lap. She waited quietly. 15 minutes passed. People who came after her were helped first. Some were rich-looking men. Some were young women in heels and makeup. Every time someone new came in, the staff smiled wide and stood up to greet them. But Ayla sat there, waiting. Another 10 minutes passed. Then, finally, a man came over to her. He was tall, with shiny black shoes and a big gold watch. His hair was neat. He looked like someone important. "I'm the branch manager," he said with a cold smile. "You wanted to open a business account?" "Yes," Ayla said, standing up. "I have the documents ready." The manager didn't even look at her papers. He looked around first, then back at her. "I'm sorry, but we don't open accounts for small businesses, especially ones without proper appearance or strong background." Ayla was confused. "But I have everything," she said. "My business is legal. I just want a simple account." The manager laughed a little, not kindly. "Ma'am, please try a smaller bank. This bank handles serious clients. We can't help you." Everyone in the lobby could hear him. Some staff laughed. One lady even shook her head and whispered, "What is she doing here?" Ayla didn't shout. She didn't cry. She looked at the manager for a moment. Her face was calm. Her eyes were soft, but strong. "Thank you," she said. Then she turned around and walked out of the bank. Outside, the sun was still shining. People were still walking fast. No one knew what just happened inside the bank. Ayla stood near the entrance. She took out her phone and made a short call. "It's done," she said, "just as we thought." Then she smiled. Not a sad smile. Not a fake one. It was the smile of someone who knew something big. It was the smile of someone who was about to surprise the whole world. Ayla walked away from the bank slowly. People passed her, but she didn't look at them. She was quiet, calm. She had a plan in her mind. Across the street, she sat on a bench and watched the bank. The glass doors opened and closed again and again. People in suits walked in. Some came out smiling, holding papers. Some looked stressed. Some talked loudly on phones. Ayla just watched. She remembered the manager's face, the way he looked at her, like she was nothing. The way he didn't even check her documents. The way the staff laughed behind her back. He didn't ask about her business. He didn't care. He just saw her clothes. He just saw her shoes. He saw what was on the outside and decided she was not good enough. Ayla stayed there for a few more minutes. Then, without saying anything, she stood up and walked away. Inside the bank, the manager was in his glass office. His name was Mr. Rehan. He sat in his big chair, checking his emails. He looked proud of himself. He thought he had done the right thing. That girl didn't belong here, he told himself. We're not a charity. His assistant walked in. Sir, someone called from the regional office, she said. They said the owner might visit today. Rehan smiled. The owner? Why today? The assistant shrugged. They didn't say. He fixed his tie and stood up. Let me know if anyone important walks in. At the same time, Ayla was in a nearby cafe. It was quiet. She ordered tea and sat in the corner. She opened her bag and took out a thin laptop. On the screen were business charts, files, and account records. She didn't look like it, but she was a successful woman. She owned a growing tech company. She had 3 small teams working under her. She had meetings with investors. She had money, real money. But she never liked showing off. She didn't wear expensive clothes. She didn't drive a big car. She stayed simple. And today, she wanted to test something. She wanted to see how people treated someone who looked poor. And now she had her answer. An hour later, Ayla closed her laptop and made another call. Hello, yes. You can inform the director now, she said calmly. It's time. She hung up. Outside the cafe, a black car stopped. A tall man in a gray suit stepped out. His face was serious. His name was Mr. Yusuf, the regional director of the bank. He looked around, then walked quickly toward the bank. Inside the bank, everyone noticed him. Sir, the receptionist stood up. The manager came running. Mr. Yusuf, welcome, sir. Is everything all right? Rehan asked. But Mr. Yusuf didn't smile. He looked angry. I'm not here to chat, he said. Where is the woman you disrespected earlier? Rehan looked confused. Sir, which woman? The one in old clothes. The one you denied a business account. The one you insulted. Rehan's face changed. Sir, I didn't know she was someone important. She looked like. Don't finish that sentence. Mr. Yusuf snapped. She's more important than you can ever imagine. At that moment, the glass doors opened again. Ayla walked in. She wore the same clothes, the same shoes. Nothing had changed. But this time, no one laughed. This time, everyone stood still. She walked up to the center of the bank, next to Mr. Yusuf. This is the woman, Mr. Yusuf said loudly. And you all treated her like garbage. The manager's face turned pale. Ayla looked at him and spoke clearly. You judged me by my clothes. You refused to even read my documents. You laughed at me. And now, you're about to learn who I really am. Inside the big glass bank, everything had gone quiet. The staff stood frozen. The customers inside were confused. They looked at Ayla, then at the manager, then at the tall man in the gray suit. Mr. Yusuf, the regional director. Something was happening. Something big. And no one wanted to miss it. The bank manager, Rehan, couldn't believe his eyes. This woman, he whispered. She's the one. Mr. Yusuf's face was sharp. His voice was cold. Yes, he said loudly, so everyone could hear. She's not only a client. She is the silent owner of this entire branch. Gasps filled the bank. People looked at Ayla again, this time with wide eyes. The same woman they laughed at. The same woman they ignored. The same woman they insulted was the one who owned the place. But Ayla didn't look angry. She wasn't shouting. She wasn't showing off. She just stood there, calm, with a small smile on her face. It was a silent smile, but it spoke louder than words. Ayla turned and slowly walked around the bank. Her eyes moved across the clean floor, the polished desks, the fancy furniture. Everything looked nice from the outside, but she had seen something ugly inside. Pride, ego, judgment, and disrespect. She stopped in front of one of the junior staff, a young girl named Sarah who had also laughed earlier. Ayla looked into her eyes and asked softly, "Would you have treated me better if I wore gold and diamonds?" Sarah couldn't answer. Her face turned red. Ayla looked at another staff member who had whispered about her earlier. "And you?" she asked. "Would you have smiled at me if I had walked in with bodyguards?" The man looked down. He didn't say a word. The manager, Rehan, stepped forward, trying to explain himself. "Madam, please listen. I didn't know who you were. I thought—" "You thought I was poor," Ayla interrupted. Her voice was calm, but firm. "You thought I wasn't good enough for your bank." No, that's not what I meant." He panicked. But Ayla was not interested in his excuses. "You judged me by my clothes," she said, "but you didn't even ask about my business. You didn't read my papers. You didn't see my heart. You saw only my shoes." She turned to Mr. Yusuf and said, "I came here today not just to open an account. I came to test the heart of this place." Mr. Yusuf nodded. He knew this moment was serious. He looked at the staff and spoke loudly. This bank was built to serve people, all people, rich or poor, young or old, well-dressed or simple. And today, you all failed. The staff stood quietly. Some looked guilty. Some were scared. Some looked ashamed. Ayla walked back to the center of the room. Everyone was watching her now. Not with judgment, but with respect. She took a slow breath and said, "I don't wear expensive things. I don't show my money. But I believe in respect. Every person deserves to be treated with kindness. Every customer deserves to be heard." She paused. "And now, there will be changes." The staff looked at each other. "Changes?" the manager asked nervously. Ayla nodded, her voice still soft, but powerful. "Yes, starting today, this branch will be run by people who understand kindness, not just profits." Rehan opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. He could feel something coming, something big. Ayla looked at him one last time. Her eyes didn't show anger. They showed truth. And truth always wins. She picked up her bag, gave one last silent smile, and said, "I'll be back in 1 hour." Then she walked out of the bank. No driver, no guards, just her. But now, everyone watched her leave like she was a queen. Because power doesn't always shout. Sometimes it walks away with a quiet smile and leaves the world shaking. The bank was no longer the same. Just one visit from Ayla had changed everything. The air inside the building felt heavy. The staff didn't laugh anymore. They didn't whisper or smile. They stood quietly, thinking about what just happened. The woman they had judged owned the place, and she said she would return in 1 hour. Now, every minute felt longer than the last. Rehan, the branch manager, sat in his glass office. He had taken off his coat and was wiping sweat from his forehead. His hands were shaking. He stared at his desk, not knowing what to do. His assistant came in. "Sir, what do we do now?" she asked softly. Rehan didn't answer. His mind was full of worry. He remembered how he spoke to Ayla, how he laughed at her, how he told her to go to a smaller bank. He didn't even look at her documents. And now she was the owner. Not just a customer, the owner. Rehan stood up quickly. "We have to fix this," he said. "We have to show her we care." The assistant looked unsure. "But sir, what if it's too late?" Meanwhile, outside the bank, people were gathering. Word had spread. "A woman in old clothes is the owner of this bank," someone said. "Did you see how she fired back at them without shouting?" said another. Some people came just to watch. Some came because they had once been treated badly at the bank. They were curious now. They wanted to see what would happen next. Inside, the staff tried to act busy. Some cleaned desks that were already clean. Some answered phones quickly, pretending they were handling important calls. Everyone was nervous. They kept looking at the door, waiting. Just then, a black luxury car stopped in front of the bank. The door opened slowly, but it wasn't Ayla. This time, a new man stepped out. He wore a black suit, shiny shoes, and dark sunglasses. People on the street moved aside as he walked to the bank entrance. The security guard opened the door fast. Inside, the staff froze again. The man removed his glasses. He looked calm, but very serious. He walked straight to the manager's office and said just one word. "Leave." Rehan stood up in shock. "Excuse me. You. Out. This office is no longer yours," the man said. "Wait, who are you?" Rehan asked. The man showed him a card. It had Ayla's name and logo on it. He was from Ayla's main office. He wasn't a regular banker. He was from the top. "Miss Ayla has given her orders," he said. "You are to step aside." Outside the glass office, staff members whispered, "He's getting removed." She wasn't joking. She's really the owner. I thought she was just trying to scare us. But this was no scare. This was real. Rehan's face turned white. "Please, let me explain. I made a mistake. I didn't know who she was." "That's the problem," the man said. "You only respect people when you think they have money. That's not the kind of leadership we need here." Rehan was silent. His eyes moved to his desk, the place where he used to sit proudly, giving orders, looking down on people like Ayla. Now he was the one being looked down on. And it hurt. He slowly picked up his things, his watch, his pen, his phone. Everything felt heavier than before. The man opened the door for him. Rehan walked out of his office for the last time. No one clapped. No one stopped him. No one even said goodbye. A few minutes later, Ayla walked back in. She still wore the same clothes. Still simple. Still soft-spoken. But now, the whole bank watched her with respect. People moved aside as she passed. The man from her office stood beside her and nodded. "It's done," he said. Ayla looked around the bank. She saw the fear in some eyes. She saw the shame in others. And then she spoke, gently but clearly. "I didn't come here to fire someone. I came to fix a broken place. Respect should not depend on money or clothes. It should be for everyone, every customer, every visitor." Everyone listened. No one interrupted. Ayla looked at the staff and added, "Today is a new beginning, not just for the bank, but for all of us." Ayla stood in the middle of the bank like a quiet storm. No gold, no fancy heels, no loud voice. But still, everyone listened. The staff, who once laughed behind her back, now stood straight. Their eyes were full of fear and respect. They knew things would never be the same again. The man from her office, Mr. Hamid, stepped forward. "This bank now follows new rules," he said. "And it starts today." Everyone leaned in, listening carefully. Ayla took a deep breath and spoke softly, but clearly. "There will be no more judgment based on how someone looks. No more ignoring people because of their clothes. No more fake smiles only for the rich." She looked at the receptionist who had made her wait that morning. "You saw me sitting alone for 25 minutes, she said gently. "And you helped everyone else before me." The receptionist lowered her head. She looked ashamed. Ayla didn't scold her. She simply said, "I hope you treat the next woman who comes in with old shoes better than you treated me." Then she turned to the rest of the team. "This place should feel safe, friendly. A place where people are treated like humans, not wallets." There was silence for a moment. Then something unexpected happened. A young staff member named Faisal stepped forward. He was shy and quiet, always sitting at the back. Today, he found the courage to speak. "Miss Ayla," he said, "I want to say sorry. I didn't laugh at you, but I also didn't stand up for you. I stayed silent. And that was wrong." Ayla looked at him and smiled softly. "Thank you for speaking honestly," she said. "It takes real courage to accept a mistake. I appreciate that." Her words touched everyone in the room. Then came the real surprise. Ayla took out a brown folder and placed it on the counter. She opened it and showed the documents to Mr. Hamid. "These are the names of people I saw today," she said. "Some were kind. Some were not. Some stayed silent. Some laughed. Everyone waited. I will not fire anyone else today," she said, "but I will give one chance, a real chance to change." Mr. Hamid nodded. "We will monitor behavior from today. Every employee will be trained again. Respect, kindness, and humility will be the new policy." The mood in the bank began to shift. It was no longer just about money. It felt human. One of the customers who had been standing in line stepped forward. She was an old woman in a faded green dress. "I was scared to come here today," she said, "because last time the staff made me feel small, but today I feel seen. Thank you." Ayla walked up to her and held her hand. "Ma'am," she said kindly, "this bank belongs to people like you. You are always welcome here." The woman smiled, tears in her eyes. The other customers began to clap. Not for money, not for power, but for kindness. Later that afternoon, Ayla sat in the manager's office. Yes, her office now. But she didn't sit in the big leather chair. She sat across from it, speaking with the staff one by one. Not to scare them, not to show she was the boss, but to listen, to understand, to guide. Outside the bank, people were still talking. "Did you hear? The owner wore simple clothes and changed the whole place." She didn't scream. She didn't show off. She just showed heart. She made the manager leave without a single insult. Just truth. Word spread fast. And so did the message. Never judge a person by what they wear. Because behind simple clothes, there could be a sharp mind, a kind heart, or even the owner of the whole building. Ayla looked out the glass window as the sun began to set. A soft wind blew outside. She smiled to herself, not because she won, but because she changed something broken into something better. And this was only the beginning. The sun was low in the sky now. The golden light came through the glass walls of the bank, making everything look soft and warm. But inside the bank, something even brighter was happening. A change. Not just in rules, not just in leadership, but a change in hearts. Ayla sat quietly at a desk, not the old manager's desk, but a smaller one near the staff area. She didn't want to sit above anyone. She wanted to sit with them. One by one, employees came and spoke to her. Some said sorry. Some thanked her. Some had tears in their eyes. The first one was Sarah, the young woman who had laughed with others that morning. "Miss Ayla," she said, "I was wrong. I judged you. I laughed behind your back. I never thought someone in old shoes could teach me something so big." Ayla didn't shout. She didn't embarrass her. She just nodded and said, "It's okay to make mistakes, but it's not okay to stay the same after knowing the truth." Sarah smiled. Her eyes filled with tears. "I will never forget this day," she said. The next person was Faisal, the shy worker who had apologized earlier. "I want to help more," he said. "I want this bank to feel different. I want to treat every person with the same respect, whether they wear a suit or slippers." Ayla smiled again. She saw something real in his eyes. Growth. Meanwhile, outside the bank, more people were coming in. Some had small savings. Some had business ideas. Some just wanted to see if the stories were true. One man said, "I heard the owner wore old clothes and fired the manager without raising her voice." A woman said, "She didn't fire him for power. She did it to teach respect." The story had spread. And with every new person walking in, the staff remembered Ayla's words. "Treat every soul with care. Not every treasure shines on the outside." At one point, an old man walked in. He looked lost. His hands were shaking. He said in a weak voice, "My wife passed away. I don't know how to move her account." I can't read well. Earlier, someone like him might have been ignored. But now, 3 staff members came forward together. One offered him water. One helped with the documents. One sat beside him and explained everything slowly. Ayla watched from across the room, her heart full. This was the change she had dreamed of. Later that evening, Mr. Hamid, her assistant, brought her a file. "These are the new account openings today," he said, surprised. "The highest this branch has seen in months." Ayla looked through the papers. So many people had come in. Not because of promotions, not because of offers, but because of kindness. She looked up and said, "When people feel seen, when they feel safe, they come on their own." Mr. Hamid nodded. "You didn't just fix a branch, you built a family." Before leaving for the day, Ayla gathered the staff one last time. She stood in front of them, not above them. "Today was not easy," she said, "for you, or for me, but today was the beginning of something beautiful." She looked around the room. "I came in wearing old clothes. You thought I had nothing. But I gave you something bigger than money. I gave you truth. Now I ask for one thing in return. Carry this truth forward. Every customer who walks through that door should be treated like someone special, because they are." The staff clapped, not because they had to, but because they meant it. The bank felt different now. It was no longer cold and silent. It was warm, alive, a place full of new light, and all because one woman decided to walk in, not with pride, but with purpose. Outside, as Ayla walked to her simple car, a small girl ran up to her and handed her a flower. "You're the bank boss, right?" the girl asked. Ayla laughed softly and said, "No, sweetie. I'm just someone who believes in respect." The girl smiled and ran off. Ayla looked at the flower in her hand. Sometimes the smallest things show you the biggest signs. A week passed. The news about the woman in old clothes had spread across the city. People couldn't stop talking about her. She walked in like a poor customer. She walked out like the queen of the place. Didn't shout, didn't show off, just changed everything. Everyone knew her name now, Ayla. The bank had become a different place. Every morning, the staff stood up straight, greeted every person warmly, and smiled with their hearts, not just their faces. The tea boy who used to be ignored was now respected. The cleaning lady had her own locker and lunch table. Even the guards were treated with kindness. And every customer, rich, poor, young, or old, was welcomed with the same respect. No one was invisible anymore. On the 7th day, Ayla returned to the bank once again. This time, she didn't wear her old shoes. But she didn't wear diamonds either. She wore a simple white dress. Clean, peaceful, graceful. She walked in quietly, like always. No bodyguards. No camera crew. Just her. And yet, the moment she entered, the whole staff stood up on their feet, not out of fear, but love. Mr. Hamid, her assistant, stood beside her. "We have arranged a small ceremony today," he said with a smile. Ayla looked confused. "Ceremony? For what?" Mr. Hamid pointed toward the lobby. And there, in front of her, stood dozens of customers. Old, young, shopkeepers, teachers, drivers, tailors, and many others. One by one, they came forward. A teacher said, "Because of you, this bank gave me a loan with dignity. No more begging." An old lady said, "Now when I walk in, someone offers me a seat with respect." A street vendor said, "No one laughed at my savings book. They told me it matters." Then, a little girl came forward, the same one who gave Ayla the flower earlier. She held her mother's hand and said in a tiny voice, "My mom says you're a hero." Ayla's eyes filled with tears, but she wiped them gently and said, "I'm not a hero. I'm just a person who didn't stay quiet when something felt wrong." She looked at the staff and added, "Every single one of you helped make this happen. You changed too. And that's real courage." Then came the biggest moment of all. Mr. Hammond walked up with a covered frame in his hands. He removed the cloth. It was a photo. A black and white picture of Ayla, wearing her old clothes, holding a simple purse, standing outside the bank from that first day. Below the picture, in gold letters, it said, "Never judge a book by its cover." The day the owner walked in, the entire bank clapped. Some cried. Some just stood in silence, deeply moved. Ayla looked at the photo, then turned to the people. She said, "I didn't come here for revenge. I came for respect. Not just for myself, but for every person who walks in with hope." That day, she did something even greater than firing a rude manager. She changed an entire system, from fear to fairness, from pride to humility, from cold rules to warm hearts. And she didn't need power to do it. She just needed to remind them what true power really is. Kindness, respect, courage. As the sun set again, Ayla walked out of the bank one last time. She didn't look back. She didn't need to, because she had left something behind that would stay forever. Not a chair, not a title, but a lesson, one the world would never forget.